Welcome back to Casual Watch Review channel. Today we are looking at a watch from one of my favourite brands, and that is Christopher Ward. This is the C63 Colchester. This watch has some very interesting elements to it. Christopher Ward made this watch with the inspiration from the British Parachute Regiment and named it after their iconic headquarters. This watch is inspired by the Paras as opposed to issued or designed for them specifically, is my understanding. I remember my granddad telling me stories about the Paras during his time serving in a tank regiment during World War II. They have always been a highly regarded and respected British Army regiment. Now, I'm certainly not qualified to talk about how useful this would be as a tool watch for the Paras or any member of the Army in the UK or worldwide. I'll leave that to the soldiers that did serve, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. Before we dive into the watch itself, let's look at those all-important case measurements. Here we have a case at 41mm, a height of 12.6mm, a lug-to-lug of 47.5mm, sapphire crystal, and a 22mm lug width. The fit and finish, as always on these watches, is amazing, and it's no secret that I'm a huge fan of Christopher Ward as a brand. Now, I must have made that much of a song and dance about it on the podcast in these reviews that I'm even quoted on their website. I do think this watch is another hit, but it's not without a few things that I think could be improved. The standout of this watch is, of course, the case. They do make this watch in all titanium, but here it is made from an injected carbon. This material is tough and the lightest case that they have ever made. It weighs in at only 38 grams. I'm no expert, but I think injected carbon is carbon fiber powder mixed with epoxy resin. The dial actually looks more like a forged carbon. When you read things like lightest as a description, I always worry that the watch could feel cheap or fragile. Even some titanium watches have a cheap feel to them, especially if they have a poorly designed bezel, but this one still feels premium. I think it's to do with the thickness of the watch. The wrist presence on this watch is great. The lug-to-lug spans my 7.2-inch wrist nicely, and it's very comfortable to wear with it being light. I feel if they had added a bracelet of the same material, that would have felt weird and probably a bit cheap, so I'm glad they didn't go with that. This one comes with a tied strap, and it's made from recycled ocean plastic. If you're interested in hearing more about this strap, I interviewed Mike France, the CEO of Christopher Ward, a few months ago, and this strap was actually a big topic of that interview. The strap is comfortable, but the highlight, of course, is the injected carbon buckle. Not only is this cool, but it really shows off how strong this material is. The watch retails for £995 or $1,195. I think this is an unbelievable price for this watch with the case material, movement and feel. The movement continues the partnership between Sellita and Christopher Ward using the SW200. What's impressive in this price bracket is the additional finishing applied to the movement and the fact that these movements are measured to COSC. To have a COSC rating on a watch in this price range from any other brand is almost unheard of, and it should honestly shame the larger brands into no longer charging a premium for this certification with a watch. It won't, but it definitely should do. Not to mention Seiko, who are selling watches 3 times this price and expect their buyers to accept a tolerance of +15 to -10. These COSC movements are measured to +6, -4 and usually perform much better. The dial is just stunning. The effect of the injected carbon gives a marble or metallic liquid look. It's mesmerizing in person. The beautiful finishing on the indices with the brushed and polished sections is something we've become accustomed to with Christopher Ward, but is nevertheless impressive each time I get it under the macro. The hands have a similar finish. The hour hand looks like it could leap right off the dial and cut you with its scalpel-like precision. Some of the best design hands in the watch game, I think. Because this is a tribute, the second hand is precisely the same shade of burgundy found on the Para's iconic berets. They used an official paratrooper's belt to ensure they colour match this perfectly. The dial also has a hidden secret. It's almost suspended in the case because of these cutouts. Light can pass from front to back, and it really looks cool, but I can't think of a practical purpose for this in the real world. Now, I did mess up during this review. I had the watch for about 3 weeks, wore it regularly, but when it came time to film the watch, I totally forgot to do the loom shot. Here is an image from the website, and honestly, that is how it looks. It's very vivid, and there's plenty of it applied. The back of the case proudly has the insignia of the Paras on the back. This almost totally obscures that additional finishing to the movement that was applied, but nevertheless is a very important part of the design and inspiration. The other trick this watch has under its sleeve after the incredibly light case is the crown. The crown is one of the many innovations in watchmaking Christopher Ward have worked on over recent years. Another example is the reverse engineering of a super compressor case they spent years working on and pulled off perfectly in their C65 super compressor watch. The crown is embossed with the Christopher Ward logo and is made of titanium but also retractable. This means it's totally flush with the case when not in operation. When you want to use it, you push the crown in and it slowly and satisfyingly pops out. It's not a violent push and the crown springs out, it's a slow, smooth operation. When I first heard about this crown, I couldn't wait to see how it worked and I was sure I would love it. In reality though, I'm not crazy about it. I'm not sure if it's this specific watch with it being new and that's the issue. But first off, the popping in and out is as cool as you think it would be. It just looks cool. The problem is when it comes to the crown, it's smaller than you would think. And I thought it would be more like a normal size Christopher Ward crown but was retractable. In reality, it's very thin, which makes it harder to grip. You end up wedging it between your finger and nails to get a purchase on the crown. It's totally livable with, but something to note. On this watch, the crown is quite stiff to move. I don't know if it's a result of the soft opening mechanism or in fact that this is a new watch with new seals. It could be either, and hopefully that eases up. I suspect it will ease up over time as you use it more. Overall, another excellent watch from Christopher Ward. It's great to see them experiment with new materials. Maybe they could even experiment with ceramic next. You heard it here first. Thanks again to the team for sending me this watch in for review. It's off to the next reviewer now. All I have is my memories of this watch over the last few weeks of wearing it. They don't send me a watch for free or pay me for reviews. And honestly, I'm happy to do it just to get a chance to see these new Christopher Ward watches. Let me know what you think in the comments section and see you next time on Casual Watch Reviews.